Hi guys, it's Worm Soup, and I am currently recording this video in the cave that is my room with a CapCut microphone, so I'm really sorry for the bad sound quality. Anyways, as most of you know, I post OC animatics on this channel off and on, and since I haven't uploaded in 5 whole months, I decided that I was going to make an OC animatic to prove that I was indeed not dead, very much alive, and haven't forgotten about this channel. But then I realized something. I have too much OCs and too much stories that it would be hard to keep up with any of that with just off and on little YouTube animatics. I probably don't give any lore, honestly. But so I decided that I'm going to make individual videos explain my different OCs, their lore, stories, arcs, and all that. If I'm being honest, I'm only doing this series just to yap freely about my characters without any judgment. The first story I'm going to be talking about is called Shadows over Crescent City, a concept I made up last year with my friend Cookie Donnie, who also has a channel which I'll show right here. Give them a quick follow. Anyways, to give a quick overview on the world, it's in a 1920s/1930s inspired world, where the supernatural and magic are real. Ghosts, witches, and all sorts of spooky things run rampant around this world. So, in order to protect humanity from these dangers, this group known as PAF, which stands for Protection Against Arcane Forces, I promise I'll give it a better name, it's just a work in progress right now and the best I could think of, stands up in order to make sure that everything with magic, or even just mentioning it in a not completely negative light, is banned or detained. So honestly, just any music, movie, talking about magic or supernatural people or things, just in a positive light or not even just negative, just immediately gets it banned. Underneath PAF's seemingly noble and protective surface is a very corrupt group that spreads lies, hate, hypocrisy, cults beneath its surface. It's not good. And very few people are willing to stand up against it because how powerful it is. Anyways, that's enough rambling. Let's just get on to the video. Meet Richard Hudson, a 28-year-old man living in Crescent City in a small apartment with a 17-year-old sister, Betty. Richard has been having trouble living up to people's expectations of him, as well as grappling some unsettling truths about himself. Being orphaned in his late teens, Richard found himself taking care of his sister and grew to be very self-sufficient because of it, to the point where it's been damaging his relationship with friends, sisters, and has been hurting him. He lives a plain, steady, and repressed life as a paper pusher for PAF, where he sorts files, checks reports, and just keeps his head down as much as possible. Having been raised under heavy PAF propaganda like most of the people in this world, Richard has absorbed their values, which are, number 1, all magic is dangerous and must be eradicated or at least tightly controlled. Number 2, any suspicious activity regarding supernatural beings or propaganda must be reported immediately. Despite Richard giving off the vibe and appearance that he's the world's biggest PAF suck-up and just supports every single thing they do, Richard has a secret. He was born with the sight, which is the ability to see and control pure magical aura as well as things from beyond, like ghosts and things like that. People born with the sight can see and understand the world beyond the veil in ways that others can't. These people go by many names, often called Curse by other citizens and PAF, but they much prefer the term Veil Seeker or Medium. Richard started developing these powers at the ripe age of 5 years old, and his parents quickly caught on to these abilities, and they made him hide it from everyone. Friends, teachers, society, and even Betty herself, who doesn't even know about Richard's powers. Even after his parents' untimely death, Richard did whatever he could to hide his powers from everyone. He often isolates himself from peers at work, doesn't go to parties or outings, and turns down any romantic advances towards him. Richard's sole purpose is making sure that Betty is safe and that no one knows his real, true self. But what happens when fate throws a mysterious fellow medium his way, and his perception of everything he's ever known begins to crack? Not much to say about Richard's design. He has a very plain style, which is just a dark blue suit with a PATH badge on it, which every citizen in Crescent City and other places under PATH control is required to wear. He has neat black hair and a lean but very strong build. He prefers looking and wearing practical clothing over anything overly flashy or that might draw attention to him. He has a constantly worried look to his face and usually carries a small notebook or a bag just in case something happens or if anyone needs first aid or notes need to be taken. Richard is a reserved and calculating man who tries to draw as little attention to himself as possible. He is a natural-born worrier who always has his guard up and thinks, or at the very least, tries to think logically before he acts. He's a polite and courteous man, but not a complete doormat. He can be very direct with people and doesn't have a problem giving his opinion on things, especially people he particularly dislikes. Surprisingly enough, despite his more quiet and shy exterior, he has a lot of witty comebacks and snarky comments on a lot of things and has no trouble defending himself in the argument. Richard cares a lot about how he presents himself and how others perceive him. He hates being seen as overly weak or useless, and he's often the voice of reason among the core group, urging the others to think clearly before doing anything foolish. Although timid at times, Richard is far from a pushover no matter what people may think. Despite Richard's more cold exterior, he's actually very soft-hearted and flustered, embarrassed very easily by any kind of platonic and romantic affection, and it takes him a while to process any sort of compliment or flirt. He tends to joke around a lot with people he's comfortable with and has no trouble with lighthearted teasing or sarcastic comments. He also has a very emotional and caring nature towards his friends. He'll always help them if they're in any sort of trouble. Of course, he would also give them an earful first before helping them. Richard also has a hidden artistic side. He loves sketching and drawing, and he did originally want to pursue the arts, but his parents made him work in PATH or a more respectable job. Meet Elias Wick, a charming, mysterious, if not overly cocky or reckless guy. He's a 30-year-old man who possesses the sight as well. He works for the Veilseeker Institute, an underground organization ran by other supernatural people, particularly mediums, that keep the balance between worlds safe and stable. He resides in a small, seemingly innocent florist shop called Wick & Co., which is ran by his adoptive mother, Talia. But underneath the store is where Elias does all his secret supernatural work, avoiding the eyes of PATH. Elias meets Richard and finds out that he's also a medium after saving him from a particularly pushy PATH officer. Skip forward to the two saving a part of Crescent City together from a usually docile supernatural creature that for some reason was acting aggressive. Strange. Anyways, Elias is the driving force behind Richard's character arc and getting him to face the fact that PATH is lying to society and that mediums are not something to fear. They're actually the protector of human society. After that whole experience, Richard starts working alongside Elias for the Veilseeker Institute, where they have a sort of Watson and Sherlock or Mulder and Scully-like dynamic. Elias has a deep hatred for PATH and everything it stands for. He wants the Veilseeker Institute to team up and take down PATH once and for all so that it doesn't hurt any more innocent people. But the founder of the Veilseeker Institute, Marla Mirkwood, refuses as it could put the magical world and the Veilseeker Institute in jeopardy if it fails, which is why the two often butt heads. Elias is witty, creative, and holds a monstrous curse that ties him to something ancient and apocalyptic. Elias has curly dark brown hair and round glasses. He primarily wears a long red trench coat, a sharp suit underneath, and carries a cane from time to time when his curse is acting up. He has a slender build and carries a bag filled with just the right materials to banish a ghost or two. He often has a relaxed smile on his face and particularly sharp teeth. Elias is a natural-born communicator with a sort of theatrical air to him. Whether he's sweet-talking a cop, calming a frightened spirit, or just getting under other people's skin, he knows how to use words, often using them as a defense against any sort of vulnerability. He's also very reckless and impulsive, often jumping into danger without thinking about putting himself or others at risk. He craves constant excitement and adventure because that's all he's ever known. He's never really known a peaceful life. Elias is a natural jokester and has a lot of witty comebacks, snarky comments, just really knows how to get under people's skin and annoy them. Elias is often calm and it's hard to get him really riled up or lose his cool, except for a few things, of course. He's not ever gonna tell you what he's really afraid of or what gets him angry. Elias actually has a very empathetic and inquisitive side. He knows how to comfort people and just genuinely sees both sides of an argument. He cares deeply about humanity and the supernatural world no matter what. Elias's curse has made him too afraid to get too emotionally attached to anyone in case they find out what he really is or what he's capable of doing, making him often isolate himself or avoid his friends because he's afraid of any deep emotional connection. And underneath his cool and confident exterior is a man who's terrified of hurting or losing any of the people he really loves. Elias longs for deeper and more emotional human connection, but he's always avoided it because of his curse. And as he grows a deeper and closer bond with a certain someone, as well as the fact that his curse is getting stronger and stronger with each day, he's forced to finally confront his fears that he's been avoiding for so long. Richard and Elias have a very fun dynamic that I enjoy writing a lot. At first glance, they are complete and total opposites. Richard sees Elias as a flippant and smug criminal, while Elias sees Richard as narrow-minded and even cowardly at first. Eventually, though, the two develop a very close bond built on trust and just genuinely really caring for each other. Even if they do bicker a lot, none of their arguments are ever serious. It's just mainly comedic, old married couple-like arguments. Also, they're gay. I forgot to mention it, but they are, and they're very cute. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed the video and very mindless rant about my characters. There's definitely going to be more parts to this, one about the other protagonists, side characters, as well as more in-depth into path and world building. But that's going to be for another day. Please like, subscribe, and have a fantastic day.